Hi, everybody. It's Rob here from ShootHybrid.com. I'm hanging out with my friend Scott, and Scott over in Buffalo is a video guy, and he has been super nice in coming on here and helping answer some of my questions I have as I transition from being still only to incorporating video with my still photography. Scott, welcome back.
My pleasure to be here, Rob.
So we've had some great questions and superb answers for several of the problems I've encountered. And the one I want to ask about right now is lighting. What suggestions do you have for lighting setups or lighting recipes? Again, I know for stills, there's a lot of stuff that I can do. Video is a different creature when it comes to lighting.
Well, I think the good news for you, Rob, is that shooting or lighting for stills and lighting for video, there's a lot of similarities there. I think the main difference you're going to see is that a lot of times when you're shooting still photography, you use flash. That's not going to work for video, obviously, unless you're going for a strobe effect or something like that. There are new generation of lights coming out, LED light panels and things like that that you can use, and you're familiar with a lot of those. I know Manfrotto makes some, Photodiox makes a bunch. You can look up LED lights. There are different qualities of these lights, though. They can be mounted right on the camera in the hot shoe. They can be mounted on a separate stand. You can put them anywhere you want and position those accordingly. The thing about LED lights, like I said, sometimes you do get what you pay for. The quality of the light itself, the Manfrotto lights we're talking about, are phenomenal. The color on the lights is color correct as far as what you're trying to get when you're shooting the still or the video. The cheaper ones, maybe not so much. They might skew a little bit to the magenta side or to the yellow side or whatever the case may be. And then you got to fiddle around in post. Now, as far as setting up the lights, I think the basics are the same as they would be for stills. I mean, you obviously want to have the two lights on the side that kind of light up the scene there. You want a key light positioned in front of the person to light the person's face. And then depending on what the background happens to be, if you're in a studio and you have, say, that you want to go for that Apple commercial effect with the all-white background, you want to light that up a lot, almost overlight it, overexpose it, so it makes the subject pop off of that background. Kind of gives us some separation. Conversely, if you're shooting the black background, you don't want to light that. You'd still want to light your subject in front and have the key light and everything. And then maybe you want to put a light behind them. I believe you'd call that a rim light or a hair light, where you can shine down on the person and kind of trace the outline of that person so that they're, again, separated from that black background, especially if they're wearing dark clothing, which I've seen a lot of people do that. I've seen couple videos where people would shoot against the black background and wear black pants, and it looks like, you know, the floating torso effect, if you will. So you definitely want to have that rim light.
Yeah. Years ago, and years ago, I was doing some headshots for a friend of mine who's an actor, and I showed him to his office because, you know, like most actors, he actually wasn't working. So showed up at his office to do these headshots. He had worn a black turtleneck because apparently that's what actors like to wear. And he's got jet black hair, and he says, "Oh, why don't we just do it against my cubicle wall," which of course is black. Not paying any attention, set him up, took the shot, and his headshot ended up being the floating
severed head.
Yeah, that was my first lesson. So I went back and said, you know, how do I fix this? And the first thing they said was hair light to trace it and separate them from the background. So that's a huge relief to me to know that lighting setups for video pretty much mirror what I'm going to want to do for stills and vice versa.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another thing that these LED light panels are good for. When you're shooting on, say, a bright sunny day outside, obviously you never want your subject staring into the sun and squinting the whole time. But conversely, if the background is really overexposed because the sunlight is so bright, sometimes their face looks a little dark. You can plop one of those out even in bright sunlight, and it lights up the face just enough where it looks good against that bright background. So a lot of new tools we're using are phenomenal.
And I know that the new Manfrotto ones actually have the ability to adjust the Kelvin temperature of those lights too. So if you want to balance it against the warmth of the sun, you're able to do that too. Because otherwise you
get our hands on these things.
Exactly. All right, Scott. As always, man. Thanks so much. I really appreciate these answers. In the short sessions we've done already, I've learned a lot. So thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.